Everything just blew up in the Lakers locker room, and nobody saw this coming. According to sources directly working with the Lakers, J.J. Redick and LeBron got into a huge fight in the locker room, and it all started over a single clip from last Christmas that went viral. I think since we've gotten Bron back, we haven't been as organized offensively.
I think since we've gotten Bron back, we haven't been as organized offensively. Too many random possessions. So.
I've got the inside story, the behind-the-scenes chaos, and the whole truth about what went down and what this fight means for LeBron's legacy. Trust me, you don't want to miss this because this could mean the end of his reign in LA. If you watched that Lakers game against the Rockets, you'd understand that that crash out was valid. Before LeBron decided to come back and ruin the show, the Lakers were quietly rolling. And when I say quietly, I mean they weren't doing anything flashy, but they were winning games and winning them well. Early in the season, LeBron had to take a break due to an injury, which honestly felt like a blessing in disguise for anyone hoping to see the team play like a team. Over the first 14 games without him, the Lakers went 113, showing they could operate well without him. They weren't just scraping by. They were efficient, smart, and shockingly fun to watch. Offensively, the numbers were screaming competence. By early December, the Lakers were sitting comfortably in the top 5 in offensive efficiency, averaging about 115 points per 100 possessions. Luka Doncic was orchestrating the floor like he had been on the team for years, racking up points, assists, and high-percentage opportunities, not just for himself, but for the whole squad. Austin Reeves wasn't just hitting shots. He was hitting the right shots, racking up 30-plus points in multiple games, dishing assists, and driving with fearless aggression that reminded you why he's a fan favorite. Then you had Rui Hachimura spacing the floor and showing flashes of defensive versatility. Basically, every piece was clicking. Take November 15th, 2025, for example. During the NBA Cup stretch, the Lakers went up against the Pelicans and just handled business. Luka poured in 24 points and 12 assists. Reeves added 31 points. Atten dominated the boards with 20 rebounds. And Rui chipped in 14 points. And all of this happened without LeBron. You didn't see a single hero ball moment because no one needed to do it. The system was literally doing the work. Fast forward a couple of weeks to December 1st, 2025 versus the Pelicans again, and the story was the same. Luka dropped 34 points. Reeves added 33 points and 8 assists. And Aiden was a monster inside. The team shot efficiently, rotations were clean, and spacing was perfect. Fans could actually sit back and enjoy a game without yelling at their screens. This was what functional basketball looked like, and the chemistry was tangible. Defensively, the Lakers were solid, too. They were giving up around 108 points per 100 possessions, which put them in the upper tier of league defense. The rotations were crisp, the young players were disciplined, and the team had accountability baked in. Nobody had to yell at anyone to rotate. It just happened, which is a rare kind of defensive maturity from a roster that's supposed to be learning on the fly. And you know what made it even better? The system itself. Ball movement, spacing, off-ball cuts, everything that makes basketball feel smart and smooth was in full display. They weren't relying on one player to carry them through isolation plays. And that meant every young guy could shine without feeling crushed under the weight of you-know-who. So yeah, in early December 2025, before LeBron returned full-time, the Lakers weren't just winning, they were building an identity and just being a team playing the way a well-coached professional basketball team should. And then LeBron came back, and just like that, everything the Lakers had built while he was out, poof, gone. It didn't even take long to notice the shift. The same squad that had been growing and moving like a proper machine suddenly looked off, disconnected, frustrated, and it all reflected in the numbers. The Lakers' defensive rating, which had been an impressive 108 points per 100 possessions, shot up to 117.8 almost immediately. That's not a minor hiccup. That's a complete collapse. In the 6 games after his return, the team went 24. And it's even worse when you realize that they lost to teams they had handled comfortably just a few weeks earlier. Mid-December was supposed to be a time to build momentum. Instead, it became a masterclass in how deep a superstar can drag a franchise. And let's talk about box plus minus, because the stats tell the story LeBron apparently refuses to see himself. Over 13 games, LeBron posted a minus 4.5 while Luka Doncic sat at plus 2.66 and Austin Reeves at plus 2.9. That's not a rounding error. That's a glaring indicator that while the young guys were lifting the team, LeBron was actively holding them back. Oh, and if you want more proof, remember how dope the guys were on their own without LeBron? Well, when Lus came back, anytime he, Luka, and Reeves shared the court, the Lakers were outscored by 10 points over 132 minutes. So yes, even with the two rising stars doing their thing, LeBron's presence was a net negative. And that's not leadership. That's a ball and chain. The on- and off-court metrics even make it worse. The numbers don't lie. And in this case, they're brutal. In one game, LeBron scored 18 points, but posted a minus 33 box plus minus. In that same game, there was another teammate who scored 0, but had only minus 29. That's right. The so-called king actually hurt the team more than a player who didn't even score a single point. But it wasn't just numbers. The visuals were painful. Instead of elite basketball, we saw LeBron arguing with referees like he was auditioning for a sitcom and ignoring defensive rotations while teammates scrambled desperately to cover for him. It was like watching a basketball simulation glitch in real time. If you followed the Lakers long enough, this isn't new. Honestly, it's like deja vu from that 2021 season. Back then, the Lakers had talent, a working system, and all the pieces they needed. But as soon as LeBron was on the floor, it felt like the rules didn't apply. The front office ignored his mistakes. Accountability was thrown out the door. And now it's the same story, except this time it's even worse because we actually saw a team that could function without him just a few weeks before. And that's exactly what led to the series of events that led to him and JJ Redick confronting each other. By the time JJ Redick walked into that post-game press conference, the situation had already gone way past basketball. This wasn't just another loss. This was the Christmas Day game against the Houston Rockets. Imagine getting hooped that much on national TV. And on Christmas, the Lakers lost 119-96. And that score was even out of luck and maybe some individual brilliance here and there. If you watch the game, you know the Rockets had this thing wrapped up early. By the third quarter, the Rockets were playing freer, faster, and more connected, while the Lakers looked like a group of strangers arguing over who is supposed to rotate. And here's the part that matters. This wasn't happening before LeBron came back. That's the exact environment JJ Redick walked out of when he sat down for the post-game press conference. And you could tell immediately that this wasn't going to be one of those fake we'll watch the tape and clean it up answers. His tone was different.
Well, why do you think your team was unable to execute the things that it was asked for? Because we don't care enough right now.
That line hit because everyone who had just watched knew what he was talking about, and then he doubled down.
It's a matter of making the choice. And too often we have guys that don't want to make that choice. And it's pretty consistent who those guys are. And so Saturday's practice, I told the guys, it's going to be uncomfortable. The meeting is going to be uncomfortable. I'm not doing another 53 games like this.
Right then and there, it was obvious who he was referring to, and everyone in the room knew it. What made the moment even worse was what happened next. DeAndre Ayton, instead of backing his coach or even taking the criticism seriously, he laughed it off afterward and was acting like Redick had just cracked a joke.
Your coach told us you planned for it to be a bad day. They said it'd be an uncomfortable day for the team.
And y'all bought into that.
Please listen to me.
Told him, believed him. I'm not going to tell y'all. I'm not saying anything.
And that reaction told you everything. Because when your head coach calls out professionalism after a nationally televised embarrassment, and the response is this, that's fear culture. That's players knowing exactly who the message was aimed at and being too scared to acknowledge it. And that circles directly back to LeBron. Because this league has a long, ugly history when it comes to coaches or even players who challenge him. Everyone in the league knows that when you challenge LeBron or even slightly criticize him, if you are not a coach or a superstar with strong enough leverage, he will find a way to get you out. And this isn't speculation. It's a documented pattern. Go back to his Cleveland era. David Blatt had the Cavs winning, and everything was running smoothly. The moment he and LeBron weren't on the best of terms, Blatt was fired mid-season while the team was near the top of the conference. His results didn't matter. All LeBron needed to do was run to the front office, and it was done. Fast forward to the Lakers, and the same thing happened. Frank Vogel won a championship in 2020. Then after a while, the team started struggling, and instead of LeBron taking accountability as the leader, Vogel became the scapegoat, and he was fired. Even Eric Spoelstra, who is now so respected, almost didn't survive LeBron. People forget how close that was. Remember that infamous sideline moment where LeBron physically bumped Eric?
Not everybody could go up to LeBron and think they could tell LeBron how to do certain things.
Spoelstra survived because Pat Riley had institutional authority and didn't flinch, but most organizations don't have a Pat Riley. I mean, the Lakers definitely don't. So, when JJ Redick stepped to the mic and called LeBron out, he was basically daring the organization to choose professionalism or superstar comfort. And historically, that choice never favors the coach. That's why this press conference felt nuclear, because this didn't come from a place of frustration. It was calculated. Redick chose that moment because the entire league had just watched the same thing he did. And honestly, the fans are also tired of this modern NBA coaching culture that is built around protecting stars. Redick put professionalism and effort above optics, which is basically the #1 unwritten rule you're not supposed to break. And that's what made it feel almost reckless in the best way. Because for once, someone inside the Lakers building treated LeBron like the player he is instead of some untouchable guy. And in the NBA, that almost always comes with consequences. The question at that point wasn't whether Redick was right. It was whether he'd be allowed to survive being right. Because while Redick was laying down the law, the players weren't exactly stepping up. You could feel it in the locker room, that unspoken rule taking over. Don't cross LeBron. That fear, that hesitation to actually speak up is exactly what's been dragging the Lakers under long before anyone noticed it on the court. And it's not subtle. Remember when DeAndre Ayton said earlier that season that not everyone feels comfortable telling LeBron how to do certain things on the court?
Not everybody could go up to LeBron and think they could tell LeBron how to do certain things.
And at first, yeah, it sounded like regular locker room talk, but now it hits differently because Ayton is one of LeBron's ride or die guys. So if even he is holding back, the fear runs deep. And it's not just him. The league's been buzzing about how LeBron's presence basically shuts down accountability. And the proof is in the numbers. Meanwhile, Luka Doncic couldn't be more different. The guy's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, assets the Lakers have right now. But he plays like he's still hungry for respect, not a trophy. He listens, executes, energizes teammates, and thrives in the system. Remember that it hasn't even been a year since he joined them. When Luke is on the court, he doesn't need to command attention. He earns it by playing smart, pushing the ball, and holding himself and everyone around him to a standard that LeBron's presence has long suspended. That's why Redick's snapping wasn't just drama. It was an active disruption of a system designed to let excuses fly and mistakes slide. Speaking of Luka Doncic, a lot of Lakers fans have asked that the roster and attention of the front office should be more focused on Luka. And honestly, you can't blame them. By the time Luka Doncic officially landed in Los Angeles, the Lakers had already been going through the LeBron chaos we just unpacked. And Luka didn't just join a team. He joined a narrative and stepped into a locker room where fear and the idea of LeBron being untouchable was existing. From day one, he made it clear that this wasn't going to be a participation trophy situation. The team traded for him in a move that shocked the league, and almost immediately they locked him down on a 3-year, $165 million extension. That wasn't just money talking. It was a statement that Luka is the future, and the Lakers were committing fully to him. Luka had the Lakers moving faster than they ever did under LeBron. What about spacing? Suddenly, every cut, every pass, every pick and roll had room to breathe. Plus, with Luka, the team's offensive efficiency skyrocketed. Luka basically stepped into that same system and made it sing again, only now with a star's full weight but none of the ego baggage. Defensively, it's almost night and day. While LeBron's return dragged the Lakers' defensive rating down by nearly 10 points per 100 possessions, Luka's presence had the opposite effect. Historically, Luka's Lakers move was just like Kevin Durant's move to the Nets in 2019 and Giannis' rise in Milwaukee. Like Durant, Luka was brought in with a clear mandate to be the cornerstone and carry the team into relevance. But unlike Durant's Brooklyn experiment, which struggled with cohesion and chemistry, Luka immediately integrated into a system with young coachable talent. Like Giannis, he combined his elite individual talent with a willingness to lift teammates and embrace the team-first approach. But as Luka has been quietly trying to save what is left of this team, the fan base completely lost its mind. LeBron's diehards went crazy online and started coming up with solutions that were less basketball strategy and more fantasy wish lists designed to prop up their so-called king. The most insane of the solutions they gave was that the Lakers should trade Luka. Yes, they want the Lakers to trade the one guy who is actually stabilizing the locker room, running the offense, and improving spacing just to help LeBron. Some even suggested flipping him for role players, and draft picks like Luka was just another pawn in a LeBron loyalty game. It was peak fooling and honestly one of the most delusional things I've heard. The statistical evidence we've already laid out makes it obvious. The team's struggles weren't about talent. They were about one simple thing, LeBron. And yet his fans ignored all of that and focused instead on hypothetical trades as if that would magically solve a structural problem. And here's the funny part. Even the front office has realized, and they have started quietly reclaiming autonomy. Moves that might have once required LeBron's input were now happening without it. Luka, through his play and influence, is becoming the power center on the team and influencing decisions. And if you think LeBron's dragging the Lakers is just another old superstar phase, nah. To really get how absurd this is, you have to look at history. I mean, superstars who drag down their teams are nothing new. But this is something different. Start with Kevin Durant in Brooklyn in 2021. KD's first year playing with the Nets was supposed to be a dream. They had KD, Kyrie, and Harden, a super team for the ages. But yeah, KD had isolation problems, chemistry issues, playoff collapses, you remember. But at least Durant's impact was negative only in terms of team cohesion. The Nets' defense didn't crumble, and the team still had a functioning baseline. KD was bad for team flow, sure, but LeBron doesn't just isolate. He's actively destroying the team's defensive foundation while pretending nothing's wrong. Then, let's talk about Allen Iverson with the Sixers. The man could score from orbit but was notoriously bad on defense. The Sixers had a couple of deep playoff runs, but his lack of effort was legendary, and that can slide because, unlike LeBron, he wasn't the highest paid, most protected player on the planet. Shaq in 2007 and 2008 was aging, dealing with injuries and locker room tension with Kobe. But even that didn't get to the extent of him being called out publicly by his coach. Riek calling out LeBron on Christmas Day was probably one of only a handful of times where coaches have called out their star publicly. And I know the question on your mind. If it's that bad, why is he still allowed to be that active on the team? Well, LeBron may not be interested in helping his team get better. But if there's one thing he's mastered, it's the art of perception. From the movies to the ads, the social media, and the charity work, you name it. He's basically a walking brand, and the NBA is just his stage. But here's where it gets wild. The more people see that version of him, the more it hides what's actually happening on the court. His media team keeps pumping narratives of him being KingJames, so people don't really see how much disaster he brings to the team. Now, compare that to Luka Doncic, who landed in LA with zero entourage drama, no cameras following his warm-ups, and no memoready media machines spinning every dribble. He doesn't need hype. He earns it on the court. And unlike LeBron, the media couldn't manufacture his story because his stats, efficiency, and defensive impact did all the talking. Even fans are already tagging Luka as the new face of LA basketball. Meanwhile, LeBron's media persona feeds itself. Fans debate whether trades should revolve around him, whether he deserves the ball more, whether the team should bend over backward for him. It's his media perception that's influencing basketball decisions rather than basketball influencing the people's perception of him. And here's the brutal part. This whole situation isn't just embarrassing. It's rewriting LeBron's legacy. The self-acclaimed king who was once untouchable is now dragging his team down alongside him. All because he wouldn't simply leave. How are you over 40 and still actively trying to drag your team down because of your own ego? Compare that to MJ or Kobe. These were players who didn't give a damn about comfort zones.